And hello, everyone. I believe we've got the microphone working, so you should all be seeing two lovely faces tonight, as opposed to one. Oh, hey.
Of course, yeah. So,
Hey, Becca. JJ,
JJ.
Suzume. Welcome. Good to see you all.
Brad.
Hey, Brad. Welcome. I'm back. We're back. And we're talking anime and manga and all that kind of stuff. Return guest, Akon. Nope, I'm not at Akon.
Akon?
Akon is this
Acorn?
weekend? A convention.
Akon.
I got you. Not this weekend, no. It's not
Coming
for,
up.
I think, 2 more weeks
2 weeks.
is the next
Is
convention.
that Star City?
That'll be Star City.
Star
Yep.
City in Roanoke.
Roanoke, Virginia.
Roanoke, Star City.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. That's that name.
AKA.
And I don't have anything scheduled for Saturday night, so we should still be able to do everything.
Live.
Yes, and we'll be doing that, or I'll be doing that. We'll be doing that. We'll see how all that works in terms of scheduling. But I should be free. You know, as we always say, hotel Wi-Fi is its own beast. You never know if that's going to cooperate, but they're pretty good now. You know, hotel Wi-Fi is usually enough to stream with, even if it's a little chunky.
You get many users that can sometimes slow down.
Yep. Yeah, and you're on about 1.1 megabit. But it's
85
okay.
people on one
Exactly. I can't handle this.
DSL.
So yeah, but I live streamed from Anamore a couple weeks ago, and it was fine. You know,
they have a pretty good.
yeah,
place.
yeah, that's true. Yes, that is Baltimore. That is its own thing. Yeah, Star City is a little out of the way.
Smaller building.
Yes, but one of my favorites.
Yeah.
How long have we been otaku? There's a good question.
When did I become an otaku?
Yeah, there we
It
go.
was one of those things that kind of crept up on me, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to think I'm an otaku. But
Sure.
At the same time, I never really thought about it as being something that I just sort of eased into. How about yourself?
Oh, and I've told this story before. It kind of depends on how you define it. My favorite anime growing up was Voltron, Defender of the Universe. But I didn't know it was anime, right? It was just a cartoon. But then it was in the mid-90s, really, when I became aware of anime as a distinct form of animation and then started seeking it out and finding stuff. Mid-90s, so...
That's when it really was starting to kick back up again.
Yeah.
I think my first animation that I saw that I thought, I've got to see more of this, was a long time ago.
Yeah?
When Star Blazers was first coming out on American TV, and I used to sneak and watch it, and I knew there was an ongoing story plot that I needed to see the next episode to understand what was going on better, but I was never able to until many decades later, where I could actually hunt down all the episodes and watch it in a sequence. So I've enjoyed animation for a long time, and back in the days when they called it something else rather than anime, they called it Japanimation. Yeah, back in the early 80s, I saw the Galaxy Express 999 in the theater.
Oh, wow.
On Fort Belvoir.
Okay, yeah.
For like 50 cents or something. Back in my day, movies cost a dime. The whole neighborhood came. No. But yeah, it was back when it wasn't easy to get, and so being a fan was a little bit trickier, and these days are just awesome because you can find just about anything, even super obscure stuff now. So
Totally.
and with guidance like this guy, he knows all the tricky stuff.
I was actually just watching, and I haven't finished it yet, a video on why Laserdisc failed. And he was talking about how, in a sense, Laserdiscs solved a problem people didn't know they had in comparison to Betamax and VHS, where you think back to the 70s, mid-70s, and movies were a thing you went to see. And every town had a movie theater, and you just went to see movies.
Several.
Absolutely. Whereas television was already obviously well established, but by this point you had long form ongoing stories like in Star Blazer, which you had to tune in to watch, or they were gone forever.
Tune in.
And so the Betamax and the VCR made a lot of sense for TV because you felt like you were losing the plot, literally. If you
I
didn't-
can record it, and now when I have to go be babysitting
Yeah.
somewhere, I won't miss my show.
Yeah. And so, but for Laserdisc, it's like, well, I could buy this for, what would be now like $1,500.
But it doesn't record?
It doesn't record, and this is the thing I did not realize. In the early days, you could not buy content on Betamax or VHS. It was all blank tapes. And it took a while for the industry to get into that. It was purely a recording medium.
And it was expensive when it came out.
Yeah.
Eventually the prices began to drop, but it took years before the market had enough titles to really start dropping in prices. Even the blank tapes were pretty expensive. I remember saving up with my mom to go to the Bell and Company store and buy a blank tape so we could record Wizard of Oz off of
wow.
the Disney show that was playing on Sunday nights. And I think that was one of the first shows I learned how to operate a VCR with.
Nice. Very cool. So Brad had the seasonal bug by the end of 2009, so 10 years for that. Star Blazers, Voltron, and Galaxy Express should be sliced together like Robotech. I love that idea. It does have the downside. The Galaxy Express is like 128 episodes or something. It is a hugely long series. But that would be a lot of fun.
There's some Captain Harlock that could be like thrown in
Yeah,
as well, because there
definitely.
were a bunch of little things that were off on the side. Some
Throw some Gundam in there. Why not? What else? So I'm watching anime in 2008. Yep. I do become an otaku slowly. I wake up one day and bam, otaku. Don't
Yes.
bam otaku too much. Be careful of that. But we've been watching. I should say. We binged a couple episodes of Interspecies Reviewers today, so our minds are in a very different place than it normally is.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe Funimation would release something like that. That's not their style of anime. I don't know how they're going to release it, because they don't usually have a more mature section that's going to be restricted access when they have their booths at conventions. And
Yeah.
that looked like it may have some content that may not be suitable for minors.
I don't think there is any content in there that is suitable for minors. It's very weird. That you know what? I wonder if that will be streaming only.
You know, it may be, or possibly only sales over the internet,
Yeah.
where people are paying the qualifying age.
And it makes sense these days that you're not necessarily going to release DVDs for absolutely everything in your catalog. You'll license everything, and maybe most of it will come out.
No,
But maybe.
I want hard copy for
yeah,
everything.
I know.
Redbox.
Yeah, agreed, JJ.
You know what's funny? I was going through all my media this week, and I came across a box full of old cards, business cards, credit cards, swimming pool cards, and I had 4 different video rental cards, like
Wow.
Blockbusters, movie, movie something or other, Q. There were 4 different. All these places are gone now. You know, it's hard to find a place that actually rents anything anymore. So Redbox is still around.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
something that I've gone to them.
Well, I'm apparently one of the things that Redbox sort of pushes towards is folks who, for lack of a better term, can't afford streaming. One of those things where instead of spending the X dollars a month,
My internet's
spend
down.
here's $4.
I don't have
and there you go.
a Netflix account.
Yeah.
And I can't pirate it.
Also, Redbox has, and I think Redbox gets things usually before streaming does. So you can, if you want it now, you get that.
Now!
And then also I think the children's entertainment stuff there's a lot more on Redbox than other services. So if you have kids, you go and as you know with kids, you Redbox the same movie every night for 3 months, and they just watch that over and over and over again.
Hey, what happened with a lot of my brick and mortar video rental stores is they suddenly had a going out of business sale, and I picked up all sorts of great stuff.
Nice.
But if you've got one, support it. There are not a lot of them around.
Very true. Physical media is great, but it takes up space. This is true. The one thing when I do my parents' guide to anime panel, I do bring up the fact that if you're a parent and your kid likes an anime title a lot, it might be worth buying it on digital media because that the stream might get taken down at some point.
Yeah, that's one thing that's why I like hard copy rather than streaming, because licenses change. Oh, suddenly my favorite show is no longer there. I mean, I've watched stuff on Netflix and said, "Oh, this is a great show. You got to come and see it," and then I can no longer find it. So they have a limited amount of storage that they can put. So they're always trying to update their catalog. Hard copy, hey, once you have it, you have it. And the problem is if you have too many of them, where do you store it?
And it's your job to store them and keep track of all that stuff. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We should invent some device that will you can store your discs in, and you can do like retrieval of it. So there's one giant box for all the discs, like a jukebox.
I saw something like that could hold 300 DVDs. It was a circular
That's a start.
DVD CD player. That's a start. Yeah, we get a few in there. Maybe 2 of those units. And well, I know you have quite a catalog of shows.
Totally. Yep, go to the rental store, then going to get pizza and sitting down.
Pizza and games.
Totally. That's great.
Yeah, GameStop is there's a bunch of GameStops around me. Yeah. I mean, they're renting games. Of course, it's a little bit harder for folks to, like, if it's a cartridge or, to make backup copies.
Right,
I don't know, whatever you want to say. You know what we're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. No, totally.
But yeah, a game rental is another area.
Yeah. Chinese takeout and Blockbuster, that works too. Totally.
Yeah.
Blockbuster and Chill, not quite the same as it used to be. But
and they sell. There's places that resell games. There are places that rent games. I remember back in the '90s, I had a friend who was living in the Virginia Beach area, and they had a private library that was it was grandfathered in as a library. And they actually would rent out software.
Wow.
Because they got in on the library concept before the licensing had already put its hooks into the legal aspect of things. So they were allowed to rent out stuff. So we'd rent software, try it out, test it, see if we liked it.
Yeah.
Return the original. I don't think they have those
you
around
were one
anymore.
Of those, yeah.
But the concept of a private library is pretty interesting.
The old Toonami days. Yeah, I was right there with you, Akko, where I started Gundam Wing halfway through. And I had no idea what was going on. That is a show to not start halfway through of all the anime.
Yeah, some shows you can jump in as a sampler, but some you just got to start it.
I don't know why this reminded me of this. I guess it was seeing the manga. I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole of English subtitled clips of voice actors, Japanese voice actors, on their various voice actor shows and radio shows and so forth. And there was one where it was 2 people. It was like the director and one of the voice actors on some show, and they sit down to talk. And they're live streaming it, and you can see there's manga behind them, and they go and they say, so we're here talking about everyone's talking about what's behind. Yeah. We're here to talk about Show X, but all you can see are these volumes of Akira. They're like right behind us. But they had to say all of these volumes of this manga, which I probably shouldn't say the name of, but you can see like right along the spine and in English, AKIRA. Like, yeah, we probably should have dressed this set a little better for our talk about this anime series. And then in the next episode, they come in and said, so welcome, we've actually got our anime available and showing here behind us. Yeah.
I've always wanted to call into one of those political shows where they have a bookshelf behind the guy and ask, have you read all those books? What's that one on the third shelf down? Did you read that one? I'm the author. What's on page 32?
I love that book. It's great. They're talking about all that stuff.
FLCL.
Yeah, that would be a fun one to start. Although, I gotta say, I think starting in the middle,
I started in the middle, I went to the beginning, I still didn't understand.
Exactly.
It took me a while to kind of place it together, and, that's what it means.
It's stuff,
It's coolie, it's coolie.
Yeah, exactly. It's just throwing stuff at you. But yeah.
And then ones like Boogie Pop, where it's like, okay, explain this to me, Brent, explain it.
And I only know that because I read a lot about Boogie Pop. And watch the or listen to the behind the mic stuff. It was very interesting on that one. Go to rental stores. For example, all the anime they're selling, so don't be surprised. Yeah, that makes sense. We should set up like some kind of alert for video stores going out of business, so we can go and grab all the anime.
Plunder.
Yeah. We were talking some folks. I think it was earlier this week about strategies to use at conventions.
Oh.
Around selling things.
Yeah.
And
tell me about this. I heard you heard an interesting story. A strategy someone had come up with.
I actually picked up this manga at Animore on Sunday because the vendor that was selling anime and manga was selling all volumes for $1 each.
That's unheard of.
Totally crazy. And they were used, obviously. You can see
still,
some
I mean,
but
for a buck,
totally.
you can't get it for.
But most of them were, volume 4, volume 7, just sort of random catch can. So I picked this up, and by the way, Gadget's a interesting manga. Characters are actually in junior high. They look like they're about 8.
I was noticing the Russian.
Yeah, there's a weird Russian language there. So it's sort of a. I can't get over the fact that, junior high schoolers? Really? I'm not convinced.
What, your room didn't look like that?
My room doesn't look like that, but I didn't look like that when I was 14. So it's sort of a romantic series. The boy likes a girl, big surprise. Offers to repair something for her. He likes to repair stuff. It's kind of neat getting into, electronics and stuff.
Tinker.
This is early 90s, I think, maybe mid-90s. Let me see if there's a thing here. They're not going to do that for us. Oh, well. And then one day he's walking along and sees this.
What is that?
That's a very good question. I still don't know. So, yeah, it gets weird. It gets very interesting. There's a science fictional aspect to it.
Absolutely.
It's very, very odd. She shows up and asks him to fix her CD player.
Disc Pure.
Because it now plays DVD.
It's a
Disc Pure. Honey. Yeah.
Honey.
Yeah. A good Honey CD player. Because it now plays DVDs. Out of nowhere.
Whoa.
Fun thing. But
Such
anyway,
skills. This kid's got
exactly.
talent.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, he hasn't touched it yet, and it already does weird things. So getting back to the story.
So what are these techniques? You picked this up at.
I picked this up at there on Sunday, and we were talking about different strategies, and apparently, there's at least one person who has this strategy, where they figure out what manga they want to collect. They go in on Friday morning and pick up just the volume 1 on each of the manga they're trying to collect. Take those back. Throughout the rest of the convention, no one picks up the rest of it because it's all volume 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, they can't get the whole set.
Right. Then the original person goes back Sunday afternoon when all the prices have dropped and picks up volumes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the ones that he had reserved, shall we say.
That's pretty sneaky.
That's pretty sneaky, but it works. So
unless the dealer has multiple copies of something, then it's a little trickier. But
true, yeah.
If it's something that's a small batch, they might not. Or if other people do the same thing.
Yep. So that is kind of crazy.
Wow, lots of cheddar.
I have to compile references to understand what we watched. Yeah, totally. I have to compile references to understand what you watched. Totally.
So something earlier about Black Lagoon.
Punny Pony Dash was referenced, Harold. It certainly was. The references to Ideon in Punny Pony Dash. Zetsubo Sensei, the pause every 4 seconds. Give you a bunch of. Yep, that's very true. And all the gotcha, yes. Most of the remaining video stores are of the adult variety. That would totally make sense. But yeah, Golden Strats, totally. Kid who tinkers with stuff. Anime with an anime with of a kid who tinkers with things. There's actually
wasn't there one with a kid who was tinkering with like rockets, a space one where his brother went out into space and he was stuck on the ground and he was...
Oh, Space Brothers?
Was it Space Brothers? Or there was another one similar to that.
Okay, yeah. There's actually a Korean animated film. I'm forgetting the name of it. But it's about a guy who tinkers with stuff, and girl gets interested in him. Let me just see if I can find that real quick, because that was a fun one.
Food for thought.
Korean animated films. Hopefully there is an easy list. Hey, there we go. South Korean. There
are North Korean ones, but
very
by
different.
and far and large,
one.
most are South Korean.
Yeah.
The free.
Oh, this is annoying me. Is it? No, I don't think so. Oh, the name is coming back. That's not it. It's something about like dinosaurs. Which is there's nothing about dinosaurs in
I
it.
saw something. Yeah, there was.
But it
Wasn't
is
there one
a-
where a kid was tinkering with robots and?
This is not that
Not that,
actually.
no.
Oh gosh, I'm not seeing any of these lists. That's kind of weird.
Planetes was a good one. That's what it was,
Planetes,
Matt.
yeah.
Planetes, the one with the guy, the younger brother tinkers with the rockets. And I mean, it's not quite the same thing. That's probably not the show that he was hoping that we would mention, but that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Man, that's
and
annoying me.
There was another one where a kid was tinkering with robots, and I'm not talking about the Disney one. It was an anime. Oh shoot!
Gosh, not Dino King.
There's some interesting episodes.
Dino
There was
Prime. Okay, I will find it eventually and let you all know, but I don't want to sit here forever. Oh, interesting.
You have
Overtech
to
Childhood
pause
Chronicles was done
Brent's
in Korea.
stream every 4 seconds to understand. We're sending out facts
Yes,
and references so quickly.
this is true.
They're hard to digest.
That's a great point, Game Escape. Makoto in El Hazard is a tinkerer. His main ability is being able to understand technology
Yeah.
immediately. Clockwork Planet, interesting. Yeah, if any of you are familiar with animated, so Robotics Notes. That is an anime where they're tinkering with robots. That may be the one you're thinking of.
That's probably it.
Gosh. South Korean.
Oh, hope it's like Tenchi.
Dinosaur, yeah.
Tenchi was. Yeah. We have a Tenchi back there, don't we? Yeah.
I think so.
And the scroll and the.
Green Day's Dinosaur and I. That's it. I'm gonna
Nope,
drop a
never
link
heard
into
of
this. Yeah.
He comes out with the obscure ones, doesn't he?
So it is. This is a adolescent
Korean,
romance.
South Korean.
South
Busan
Korean adolescent romance
International
series.
Film Festival 2010. Wow.
And it's there we go. The boy dreams of becoming an astronaut. He tinkers with stuff. It is set in the when is it set? 1970s in South Korea, which is a very interesting time in South Korea.
Wow.
You got gradually expanding sort of middle class and prosperity, but it's certainly not there yet. And seeing all that kind of stuff.
Beatles.
But interesting film.
Robotics Notes as a prequel to Astro Boy.
Oh, that would work. So this is the problem with South Korean animation for a long time. Made in 2011, it was hand drawn in pencil by 14 animators over a period of 11 years.
Wow.
It premiered at the film festival, competed for top prize. When it came out in South Korea, it sold 51,000 tickets.
That's the total sum of.
Total.
Can it be found anywhere? Is it still around?
It was released. You can get it on DVD and so
that's
forth.
sad that it
but-
only made so few sales.
It's a shame. And I mean, the animation's rough at times, but it's a lovely film. Nicely structured, but that's a neat one. So here, I bundle usually. Sometimes it works for a good deal. I just doesn't. In the WoW TV, but yeah, that sometimes works. Sometimes works. El Hazard is definitely 90s. 90s stuff. Even high school prodigies have it easy. Main character takes both of the repairs them to compare job to be nice to the girl. Oh, I've not seen that part of even high school prodigies, but I love that show. As ridiculous as it is a very, very goofy show.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. show from last season.
Yeah,
really
that's
fun one.
Pudding.
Do you guys hear that? Hello, everyone. Hi. Let's see what you think of this. Oops. One minute, just a minute. We'll get started in just a moment.
Stand by for news.
Good evening and welcome to the latest anime news for the week ending January 25th, 2020. A new anime project is in the works for the Battle Spirits multimedia franchise. A video was posted on the Battle Spirits YouTube channel yesterday that highlighted several previous Battle Spirits anime series and announced the upcoming Battle Spirits Kakume no Galette. The video teases a new era. Those who will cause the revolution are called Bearers of Core's Light. The Battle Spirits franchise is based on Bandai's original trading card game, whose cards represent different spirits the player controls in battle. The franchise's first anime series debuted in 2008, with the most recent series, apart from a 3-episode net anime in 2019, airing between 2016 and 2017. Masaki Watanabe is returning from several previous anime in the franchise to direct the upcoming series at Bandai Namco Pictures, along with several other returning staff members. Isn't that neat? A video screened in Shinjuku on Thursday announced that Yasutaka Tutsui's best-selling novel Fugo Keiji, or Wealthy Detective, is inspiring an anime adaptation. You might have heard of Tutsui's other novels, which inspired their own anime films, Paprika and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. The new anime series titled Fugo Keiji Balance Unlimited will premiere in April on Fuji TV. It'll be produced by Cloverworks and directed by Tomohiko Ito, who directed Sword Art Online, Erased, Hello World, and several other significant anime series and films. The story follows, you guessed it, a very wealthy detective who solves cases in his own unconventional ways. The original novel was serialized between 1975 and 1977, but the new anime adaptation will move the setting to modern times. The original novels previously inspired 2 live-action TV series in 2005 and 2006 that reimagined the story with a female protagonist. Publisher Ichijinsa announced this week that its age gap romantic comedy manga series is inspiring a television anime. The manga is titled Koi Toyobi ni wa Kimochi Warui, which translates as "It's disgusting to call this love." The premise does sound a little questionable, though, to be fair, I'm sure it's not the worst any of us have heard of so far. The story follows the relationship between highly eligible bachelor and playboy Ryo Amakusa and otaku high school student Ichika Arima. When the two first meet, Ichika is disgusted by Ryo's direct approach of asking her for a date right away. Despite her reaction, or perhaps because of it, Ryo becomes convinced that she is the one for him. The manga series has been running on the Pixiv comic web manga site since 2016 and has topped 1 million copies in circulation, including both the digital and print versions. The March issue of Shueisha's V-Jump magazine announced that the Digimon Adventure franchise is getting a new reboot TV series. The new anime, which will be simply titled Digimon Adventure, will premiere on Fuji TV and other channels in April. The series will feature an all-new story centered around Taichi Yagami in his 5th year of elementary school and will be set in the year 2020. What kind of Digivices will modern technology give us? Smartphone versions? I guess we'll have to wait and see. A number of previous Digimon staff members are returning to the project at Toei Animation. The original Digimon Adventure anime series premiered in 1999. The Digimon Adventure Tri-Film series, which featured Taichi and friends in high school, came out between 2015 and 2018. And the Digimon Adventure Last Evolution Kizuna film, featuring Taichi in university, will premiere this February. Now we can move on. The Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha and Love Live franchises both teased new projects this week. The Nanoha announcement came at the end of last weekend's Lyrical Live concert event and simply revealed that the franchise is launching a new project. No format or medium was announced, but fans were asked to look forward to further updates. The original Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha series debuted in 2004. 4 more anime series followed in the franchise, the most recent premiering in 2016. The series also inspired 4 anime films, the most recent of which came out in 2018. The Love Live Idol franchise also teased a new project over the weekend. The announcement was made during the Love Live Fest event and stated that the franchise is launching a new project with more information to be revealed in the Volume 5 issue of Kadokawa's Love Live Days Love Live Sogo magazine on January 30th, so fans don't have to wait too long for further updates on this one. The franchise announced a new entry in the series back in December, so another anime announcement might be unlikely, but we'll have to see what next week's updates bring. Isn't that exciting, everyone? The first Love Live School Idol Project anime series premiered in 2013, all the way back then. The spin-off Love Live Sunshine series debuted in 2016, and its movie opened just this January. This week brings 2 marriage announcements in the anime industry. Isn't that nice? Always so nice to see. First up, voice actors Romi Park and Kazuhiro Yamaji each announced their marriage to each other on Wednesday, which also happened to be Romi Park's birthday. Oh, isn't that so cute? The 2 are cast members in Attack on Titan, where Park voices Hanji and Yamaji voices Kenny. Oh my god, they killed Kenny. Park is of course known for her role as Edward Elric in Full Metal Alchemist, along with voices in Naruto, Digimon Adventure 02, Kill la Kill, and many others. She also won Best Leading Actress Award for her performance of Nana Osaki in Nana at the first ever Seiyu Awards in 2007. Yamaji frequently stars in Japanese dubs of American television and movies. In video games and as an actor in live-action films and movies. Along with his work as a voice actor, he's played roles in anime series such as Psycho Pass, Dragon Ball Super, and One Punch Man. Congratulations to the couple, and here's to many more years of voicing together. From prolific voice actors to prolific musicians, this week also brings the marriage announcement of singer Lisa and singer and voice actor Tatsuhisa Suzuki. Lisa announced on her Instagram and website that she's registered her marriage with Suzuki, expressing that he is a person who can support her even when she feels frustrated or lost. She also made sure to clarify that she will continue giving her all to her fans by performing her best in songs and concerts. Isn't that sweet? Lisa began her anime song career in Angel Beats back in 2010. Since then, she's performed theme songs for anime such as Sword Art Online, Fate Zero, and Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, My Hero Academia, and Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, and many others. Suzuki has also had a prolific career, both in music and in voice acting. His voice work can be heard in series such as Free, Kuroko's Basketball, The Seven Deadly Sins, and lots of others. This year alone, he has roles in Somali and the Forest Spirit, The Misfit of Demon King Academy, My Next Life as a Villainess, and on Myoji. And he still had time to get married. Suzuki has also released an album and several singles as a solo singer, and performs as a vocalist in the band Old Codex, and as an idol in the Uta no Prince Sama franchise. Talk about two powerhouses and power couples. Again, congratulations to the newlyweds, and all the best in the future. One minute, hold on. There we go. The Mary Collins Talent Management Agency announced on Sunday that voice actor Bryce Armstrong passed away of natural causes on January 10th. Very sad. He was 84 years old. Armstrong's most notable anime role is probably the voice of the narrator in Funimation's dub of Dragon Ball. He also voiced a large number of side characters in the Dragon Ball dub, and many other minor roles in other Funimation series, including Fruits Basket and Full Metal Alchemist. Outside of anime, Armstrong also performed hundreds of radios and TV voiceovers and industrial narrations. Condolences to his family and friends, and all those who have experienced his work over his long career. The life-size Gundam statue announced back in 2018 is finally on its way to becoming real. Staff announced this week that the Gundam Factory Yokohama project is underway, and that the 59-foot-tall Gundam statue will make its debut at Yamashita Pier in Yokohama on October 1st. Special pre-opening viewings of the giant model will be held over the summer, but the statue will not move until its official opening. The statue will be remote-controlled and held at the waist by a support mechanism to prevent any risk of falling. Thank goodness for that, although, of all the ways to go, taken out by a real-life Gundam might not be too bad. The Gundam Factory Yokohama project will include the Gundam Dock and the Gundam Dock Tower, where the model is stored and can be viewed. It will also include the Gundam Lab, where visitors can learn the technology behind the giant model and, of course, get some food at the cafe. The concept of a giant moving Gundam model first began in 2014 with the Gundam Global Challenge, where competitors were tasked with creating a proposal for how to realistically make an 18-meter tall Gundam move. And now, after all these years, the project is coming to completion. It should be a pretty exciting premiere, so look forward to the fall when we'll be one step closer to truly having giant mechas in our world. That's all the news for this week. Thanks for watching. Who was that?
Wow! Well, thank you, new news anchor. You did a great job.
You know, I put the call out for a new anchor, and she answered the call.
Wow! What's her name?
That's a great question. So, does anyone in the chat? I would love some suggestions. Some suggestions on that. I gotta scroll up a little bit.
Hope you guys liked our new news anchor. She's quite talented.
Yeah, she is.
Key the Metal Idol. First time?
Wow, Key the Metal Idol. Key is that's very tempting. Let's see here. That's actually really hilarious, but I'm not going to say it. Let's see here. Make a CGI anime. That's true. Can't get over the face. Totally. Becca is watching. That is true.
Your mother merch
Do
debut.
you? I want a keychain. Yeah.
In running this through, testing this, we were laughing our asses off.
So that is virtual YouTube software. It basically tracks your face and then responds and sort of moves the model in response to that.
What's funny is he still has her up in preview and she's still tracking him.
Oh yeah, I can still see her doing it
so
over
I'm
there.
watching him.
It's really weird to just be here and talking and just seeing her over here doing that thing, you know. It's a very odd experience, but unfortunately, waving is problematic.
At some point in the future, maybe as the instrument becomes
I wonder,
more
do they have
the arm wave?
Yeah,
Under hotkeys, maybe.
You can move that. Hotkeys might work. Arm position to default, arm stretching.
There's a way of doing it.
Flip.
It's relatively new for us, so just
finger spread, switch
learning
gesture.
where all the quick shortcuts are for it is
that's
still something we're working out the details. But
yeah.
Brent
Totally.
thought this would be incredible, and I
Great
gotta
start,
say
I think.
it's a riot. So.
I'm just gonna try something real quick. I don't know if you. Let's just try some. Let me go back to there. Let's just have a little fun here for a second, everyone. So A G.
Do we get to go to the bookstore with her?
A-N S-N. No. So there's some kind of hand emotion thing. So I can S. I can do that.
Yeah, you're moving her arm. Yeah.
So I can move the arm a little bit.
Thumbs.
Hey. And then put that back in. But I can't find anything to
finger spread.
Let's try a finger spread. Fingers spread. Finger spread.
There, yeah.
We're starting to get some spreading finger. So I think I would need to change the hand. Yeah,
the depth.
That's
She's
really
doing it off screen.
So there are ways. They're saying something here about
hand motion control. Setting up a macro.
Yeah, so basically I have to do macros for all that stuff.
But show them some of the facial expressions.
Oh yeah, people like the facial expressions. So we have neutral right now. Switch to happy.
Hey, you could make her.
I can change the blank.
Maybe she could wink.
I can be a little angry. Hey now. And kind of both at once. That's kind of funny.
Oh wow. That's kind of wild.
Yeah. Then we can do, that's supposed to be sad. That apparently didn't get set up.
Oh, there it goes.
There it goes.
She could get the blue.
There's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Although it looks kind of embarrassed for somebody else more than sad.
Yeah, that looks more embarrassed than sad.
Just kind of generally happy, generally pleased. Let's go back. Where was the... there we go. 1, 2... I missed 3. Interesting. Let me reset these. 4. There we go. So there's sorrow, there's fun, and then of course, so yeah, that's just kind of fun to play around with. Watch your keys you hit, since this could go hentai real fast. Did I design the character at all, or she's a stock character designed for Nico Nico? I think she's actually like built by. Something at Nico Nico, and it is. And I should point out, it is a model that is licensed for use anywhere, commercial, non-commercial, whatever you want.
Don't pull us down, YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. So that is not the casting couch. No, not that. But yeah, so virtual YouTubers are pretty big in Japan, where folks who feel a little bit more embarrassed about coming on screen will just use the software and then
Does she
make
have
stuff.
legs?
She does, which I cannot show you. So this is a weird thing. There are 2 versions of the model. The one I use is the one that is explicitly licensed for everything. The other one isn't. I was gonna say it wasn't explicit. That's not what I meant. The other one, isn't specifically like it doesn't say what you can or can't use for. So I wanted to be careful. But the one I use has. Her skirt is kind of riding up, and you can see that she's just wearing like very brief like bikini bottoms.
Briefs or
below
bikinis?
that. Brief bikinis. So I was like, I'm not really comfortable showing that part of the model.
So she's the first. She's the first avatar that you're using. Have you seen other avatars yet? In this genre?
Oh yeah, there are a bunch out there. So this is using Miku Miku Dance models. So you can import this into Miku Miku Dance and have her, go and dance
Track
and track along and all that stuff. But this is the one that comes stock with this VR, not the VR software, but the tracking software. And it only comes with those two models, basically.
So she's
her
the
and
default
two
stock.
The default stock. I've been looking around trying to find models, but this is not a. I have not found a straightforward, Geeky After Dark. It's one of those things where if you want to download it, you have to go to a wiki, and then the wiki may or may not have a link to the character, and then the link to the character might be all in Japanese, and it might not list the license there, so what you can do with it. Then there's a download to Mediafire, which may or may not exist. So it's that sort of situation. And so it's been a little tricky to figure all that stuff out. But yeah.
So that might be fun to add in some additional characters at some point in the future. Right?
I mean, obviously, I'd prefer to do a male character because I just cannot do it.
Now, when can we have her interview a Gundam?
Hey, there we go. We can have her interview one of us. I mean, technically.
Definitely. Yeah.
Actually.
Hey, I'm right here.
Can we do this?
Split screen?
We can't do a split screen too easily, but we can
put her over on the.
Have her. This should be interesting.
There we go.
So we'll see if this works. One moment.
So what's her name? What's your name?
Oh,
Is
wait,
it Becca?
this doesn't work.
Oh.
Hold on.
Wait. There we go. We need to get that on you. Okay. So, what's your name?
I don't know what my name is yet. I haven't figured that out.
So maybe we should ask the folks watching what your name is.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody know what her name is?
What's my name?
We're curious. What should we call you when we congratulate you on your job for your reporting of the anime news?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't know myself.
To know oneself.
Ooh, now you're getting deep.
Oh my. This is after hours, right?
Ooh, now let's not get naughty.
But the news was fantastic.
Thank you very much.
All those cute couples in the anime industry getting together.
Yay!
And it's so
Wasn't
sad
that
to
so
lose.
nice?
So sad to lose a nice voice actor.
Oh yeah, it very much is.
Such great contributions.
Yes,
I look forward to that Gundam. Are you going to go and check out the Gundam when it's released for the public?
I'd like to, but I don't know if I can.
Well, it will be wearing its seatbelt, so
that's
we
a
don't
good
have
point.
to worry about it falling on you.
That's a good point. That's very funny.
This is almost like when we did the puppets.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh man. So, did I hear somebody say Becca for
Becca? That would be funny. I mean, we have a Becca in chat, so that might be a little confusing.
Yeah, that would be confusing. What was
Brenta?
it? Anna?
Brenta. Okay, wait a minute. Brenta. I'm not sure about that.
Banana?
Banana's a little... Brentina.
Princess Brent.
That's kind of funny.
Brad Barker.
You're a little too good at this.
Let's see. What were the ones we were playing around with? It was like...
Arisu,
Alice,
Angelica or something. Angie.
Angie's gonna give you
nice.
the news.
Angie's nice because it also helps that she is blonde, so she can have a more European or Western name.
Till we get into the graphic program and code something different.
I wonder. I mean, could we?
I would think we'd be able to pick it apart and find some of the...
Well, I wonder, can you just download or buy Miku Miku Dance?
I have it somewhere.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I think all you do is you go to Miku Miku Dance, create the character, and then just export.
Maybe she's German.
Maybe
yeah?
she is German. Oh, like Oscar Langley Soyo.
Oscar.
Like Oscar, yes.
Alaska again. What was this? We could get back.
Yeah, that's a little worrying. Miku dance. I wonder.
MMD tutorials.
MD is a
And that's the
download Miku dance. Really? No, this is the.
Oh, that's the com.
That's learning Miku dance.
This is funny. People are listening to me
There we
describing
go.
through.
Yeah.
Here we're playing around with the idea.
Okay, that's
Annie.
a little weird.
Annie.
Free 3D animation stars.
What did was das?
Was ist das? I'm a little uncertain
Maybe she's
about
Russian.
this.
Что
Is this just
Gotta
Miku
be.
Dance? Can you just buy it? License full version.
Maybe she's French.
Is it so, guys? Do you know is Miku Dance free or do you have to buy it? I would assume you have to buy it, right?
Miku Dance download. Free safe
Yeah,
download. huh?
but you know,
is
I
that
always
a real
worry about
site?
that. Yeah. I'm not seeing like an obvious.
Latest version.
Is a
more
free
than
animation
330
program. Wikipedia says
Latest
it's free.
version 2020. Wow. Oh,
Um,
really?
So we may be playing around with that here sometime soon. Ludmila Perestroika.
Ludmila.
Heidi,
Luda.
Annie. Annie's cute. That's not bad.
Maybe she's Spanish. Maybe she's French.
Yeah, could be.
Norwegian, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, she could just be from the
Yes,
Midwest.
indeed.
You know. Oh, we had quite the storm the other day. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The snot just froze right up in your nose there. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
sure,
it
you
was,
betcha,
it,
don't
it
you
was
know?
and then it was felt like 20 below. Oh.
Fargo.
Yeah. But the buffet is so nice, you know.
Maybe
and
she's
you go
Irish.
and you get the
Maybe she's
marshmallow.
Irish.
She could be Irish. Oh, a little bit of an Irish accent. That'd be lovely.
Or Scottish.
Scottish. I
Welsh.
always have trouble with the Scottish. I don't know why. Scottish.
Yeah,
Scottish. I mean, it's easy to move into. I'm really Scottish, but that's a little over the top.
Katrina.
Katrina.
Lulu. Now Lulu with the news.
Hey, Lulu. Helia's goddess time. Yeah,
Lexi.
Katarina. I do like Katarina.
Katarina.
Katarina it's
Hey,
lovely.
Katarina. Have you seen her? She's
She could
doing
be-
great.
Yay! We could do the thing they do in
Brunhilde.
what's the muscle anime? How heavy are those dumbbells you lift? Where the Russian girl shows up and insists on fulfilling all of the cliches of a Russian girl in anime. So she has to be cold, intensely dedicated to one sport, and absurdly patriotic towards Mother Russia, like every other Russian anime girl. It's like this is true, you know.
Get some depth, Japan.
Scottish is Irish with a little bit of German anger. I like that. That's,
that's
not
funny.
inaccurate. Yes, I
Have
certainly
you
agree
ever
with that.
mistaken anybody from South Africa from being from Australia?
Oh yeah,
There's
it's
some
very
similarities,
close.
and if you
Yeah.
haven't heard a South African accent, the first time you hear it, you go, "What? Huh? Yeah, you're not quite Australian. You're not from New Zealand. South Africa."
Will Smith did a movie called Concussion, which is about a doctor from.
Not headbangers.
No, a doctor from an African country, and I can't remember its name, but it might be Nigeria, and so the guy came to the U.S. and discovered the medical condition of American football players getting
The
brain
head-
injuries,
yeah.
head injuries, and so apparently, and so Will Smith had to do an accent. And so he's talking like this, throughout the movie. And they asked, there's some African comedian who was asked about this, and he said, "Well, I don't think he sounds very much like he's from our country, but he does sound like he's from our country, and he's had a concussion."
That's funny.
That's cute, Yeah, the CTE NFL player thing, which was
Ariana.
yeah.
Give it a spin. Nairobi.
Ariana's a
Nairobi.
lovely name too. I could do Ariana. Ariana. Interesting. In Japanese, Ariana. That would work as well. Interesting.
Pixie the Sprite.
Pixie this. Ooh, Pixie. Am I Pixie? But yeah, it would be nice to have a custom avatar, something that's more direct.
What if we turned ourselves into avatars?
Ooh,
Whoa! Poof!
totally. So let's think about anime stuff in general. Spent some time this week. I finished up A Sentence of a Bookworm, which was lovely. Lovely
see this
series.
show.
Yeah. A good ending on that one. Did we finish Nadia? Oh no, we are quite a ways away from the end of Nadia, but we will watch more Nadia tonight. So we'll get through a few more episodes of that. It's like 38 episodes, I think, so it's a longer one. Certainly enjoying what's going on. That's the other thing. I should research voice filters. See if there's a way of doing a live voice filter.
I heard there's a way. Adobe has a way. I'm not sure how reachable that is.
Yeah.
But
I'll play around.
There's a way that they're doing this kind of thing now, not just with actors but with voices, where you can speak in and have a catalog of who you want to sound like and have it translate. I haven't demoed it to see how good it is, but I heard a story on NPR about it, so it's out there. It's just
yeah. There's got to be some free open source.
I mean, there's been computer programs where you can do that for a while, but this is actually taking a catalog of somebody's pre-recorded voice.
Yeah. There's got to be just straight filters that would adjust pitch and so forth. Do a voice filter for the love of God. Do not just pitch shift. Yeah, I hear that. I don't want to just sound like this the entire time.
Mickey.
I mean, I would do actually, I would do Chipmunk.
Helium.
Yeah, just do the entire news like Alvin and the Chipmunks. That would be hilarious. You know. Yeah. Welcome to the news, Dave. Morphball asks, why are you doing so many Eva videos recently? Because I recently finished watching Eva for the first time. Finally got all the way through the original TV series. Yeah.
And what are your thoughts?
I'm posting my thoughts. And because, frankly, I had seen the beginning and the end of the TV series before. Spoiler. Because I knew what the ending was. But I never gotten through the middle of it, and I was, having gone through all of it, I have much better respect for the show. I understand a lot more kind of what they were going for. The overall flow of the series was not as uneven as I'd heard. People had said, the show goes completely off the rails, it's a complete mess, and I disagree with that. It certainly changes during that last third or so, but it wasn't it wasn't much of it was. It took an exit, but it didn't take like a hard left through the guardrails, right? It shifted very heavily in one direction.
It did make a sharp turn.
Yes.
Now, have you seen the series Razafan?
I've not. No, like the first episode, but not all the way through.
It would be interesting to see what your take is on that, since a lot of people have adopted the phrase that Razafan is NGE done right.
Right. Yeah. And I'm curious.
It is sort of in that same sort of area. But it's definitely different.
Yeah. I didn't watch it before for a couple of different reasons. One is that I'd watched the first 8 episodes and really enjoyed it, but then had ended up getting onto other things. It was also hard to find for a while. But also, frankly, there was so much controversy around it and so many people screaming and yelling about how terrible the last half was that I was kind of avoiding it. I didn't want to watch something that had that much problem. And then again, I did go back and pretty early on watch the last 2 episodes just to understand the controversy and was very impressed by just that. So I thought, okay, at some point I'll go back and watch the rest of it, but I understand the overall, how it starts and the very different ending. So I wasn't in a huge rush to get through it. It's not in the middle of filler, but I understood those 2 controversies. So
this is an interesting statement. The kind of thing something to watch once at least, and for a brave soul to watch twice. And I can kind of feel that because I did watch it all the way through. I mean, I was getting little bits and pieces on Adult Swim years ago, and I said, okay, I want to get this series and watch it beginning to end.
Yeah.
Watched it beginning to end, and I had to put it on the shelf for a few years, and then I'd pull it back off, and like I'd start binging it again, and I'd get to a certain point where I just set it aside. Certain episodes are really great that I could watch over and over again, just because it's really neat. But taking it in as a whole, as a binge, is something that I haven't really done a second time. I've just taken little chunks of it.
Well, it's like we talk about how what's the saying? Every Japanese person climbs Mount Fuji once. Nobody ever climbs it twice. Where it's like, this is the thing you do, and you appreciate it. It's an amazing experience, but it's not something really to repeat. But yeah, I'm definitely glad I've finished it.
Razafan was a little bit more serious. I thought the soundtracks were really good.
Yeah.
At the opening and the closing soundtracks were really good. I think the closing, I think I could listen to that a lot.
Yeah. I agree with you, Morphball. I think Eva is certainly rewatchable. It's not a bad show to rewatch. But it's a show that you definitely. I think Eva benefits from distance in terms of not just time, but also in terms of like anime watched. Like, I think if you're a new fan and you watch Evangelion, watching it again immediately isn't as useful than if you go and you watch other anime, get exposed to other things, then come back and see kind of.
It gives you a framework to put stuff in.
Yeah, things that came before, things that came after, that kind of stuff. Razafan is too depressing. Fair enough. And that's the thing. It's one of the things I love about these shows that take on those ideas is that they give you a different tone.
Have you ever watched an anime that is so bad it's good?
I don't know what bad and I don't know what good means. But yeah, there's lots of anime I've watched that other people think is bad that I think is good, but I don't think it's bad.
What do you think makes a bad anime?
I don't know. That's the problem, because there are anime that I love that everyone else hates, and vice versa. There's anime that everyone's like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever," and I'm like, doesn't really do anything for me. Shattered Angels. That's definitely there's a okay. All right. I take it back. Becca is correct.
Angels.
Shattered Angels is so bad it's good. That's definitely there.
I think there's aspects of certain anime that can be bad, but that small section doesn't detract from it being good. Like if the budget's low, okay, you can forgive them. They're trying to do their job. You can see it's a good story. Or if it's good music, good characters, but terrible plot, okay, I can forgive a little bit in this area because it balances out on that area.
Right.
I can't say that I've run into an anime that is just utter crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that every anime has reached like the peak of the peak. I'm still looking for
I have some shows to show you on that other end of the spectrum.
I can imagine there's some pretty, I
Piano?
take that back. There are some shows that I get into and I say, okay, I can't watch this. But sometimes that depends on the mood that I bring to the show, the sitting.
So, to answer the question seriously, have there ever been any anime that are just failures on every level? Yes. There's an OVA I watched a long time ago called Piano, which features the immortal line, "That is why I'm trying to make her sleep with my piano." Which that's an actual line in the anime.
That's not Piano in the Forest.
Very different.
Different.
This is like an 80s OVA about a girl who wakes up in this fantasy world, and there's a psychic piano that's taking over the world or something. It's very bizarre. There's Dando the Super Shot, which is a golf anime with a budget of about $50 an episode. It's just, you're talking earlier about, reused tropes and cliches as an indication. That's what that is. Nobody here is original or different.
Trope on a trope on a trope on a trope on a cliche.
What was the infamous one where like there was unfinished animation in the actual broadcast? It's a samurai one. That's gonna come back to me in 10 minutes. I actually bought it because it was cheap. I was like, but I was like, golf anime. I want to see how you do a golf anime.
We ran out of funds.
That's not good. Photon. Well, here's the thing. I finished Photon. Like, I watched Photon all the way through. I didn't really enjoy myself. But Photon had enough going for it that I didn't really hate it.
Sometimes watching bad anime can let you appreciate good anime, especially if you can identify what makes it bad and what makes the good ones good.
Yep, totally.
And I do that with sci-fi movies. I watch some of these old sci-fi movies and I go, oh man, the concept was great, the special effects were awful, the acting was and when I see stuff that's done well, I'm just complete awe.
Yeah, totally. So you have a question. There's a question for you. Where was it?
Me?
Yes, I want to put Evan on the spot. Do you have any decade rankings? Favorite anime of the 80s, of the 90s, of the 2000s?
The 40s. 1840s. 1840. No.
Well, there was that Wild West anime. I didn't know.
Favorite decades.
So start with the 70s, right?
70s had a nice growth to it that kind of whetted my taste, but there wasn't enough that I saw to really get me excited. After the 2000s, I really kind of started enjoying things because anime really opened up in its diversity of genres. I saw stuff in anime that could go places that live action couldn't, especially with science fiction.
Yeah.
You could take and make an entire world that special effects simply couldn't do back in the early 2000s. You know, CG was not quite up to par. In fact, there were some movies that were pulled back because the special effects were just not enough to release from Hollywood. So we were going through a technological surge there, but anime didn't have that problem because when you're watching animation, your mind already kind of views it as, okay, I know this is animation and I'll give it the benefit of the doubt for not being absolutely 1,000% realistic. It's going to be a representation of this concept. And so once you buy into that contract of suspension of disbelief at something, then you can really delve into it. And I don't find myself doing that as much with live action. With live action, if I haven't bought into, okay, this world, magical things can happen, or this can fly, then I feel like it just doesn't sit well. Where if I've bought into, okay, if this can happen and then that can happen, okay, C can happen, I can buy into a sci-fi like that and accept it. But those are relatively few and far between. But with animation, you don't have that problem. So they can explore things that simply cannot exist.
Yep.
And can only exist in a sort of a theoretical way. So I'd have to say, being able to experience sci-fi concepts in a new way with animation was exciting. I think the early 2000, the 2000s were an exciting time for me because I was rediscovering my anime roots. Being interested in Japan and having traveled there and lived there. Now, in the 90s I saw, people trading cards and Pokemon and stuff, and I thought, I'm in college, I'm not gonna, that's for kids. But then I started seeing stuff on Adult Swim and Cartoon Network, and I thought, I remember I used to really love Japanese animation. And that really is the decade that got me back into anime. Since I've gotten back into that, I've been exploring the past anime that I've missed during the 90s and some during the 1980s, just sort of in a historical recreation of where we've come to now. Like this show, Dirty Pair. I mean, what was that? The 80s?
Yeah.
Sometime in the 80s. And I think I may have seen it once during the entire, up to 2000. But when I saw it again on somebody's site that I was allowed to borrow it from, I re-examined some of the more historical anime, and it was great. But I gotta say, for a decade that pulled me back in, NGE, Full Metal Alchemist, Trigun, those kind of things just pulled me back into the anime fold. So I hold a special enjoyment for that decade. Not on the spot. I love it.
Yeah, that's
Great.
good
Ask me
answer.
questions.
Great answer.
I'm curious about you guys.
Yeah. So other questions. We'll start from the top. What anime movies do you think people should watch that's not Ghibli?
Not Ghibli. I watch any animation I can get my hands on, regardless of whether it's American, Japanese, Russian, French, German.
Sure.
I mean, anything that I can get my hands on, and it's fun to kind of like cross-reference. Okay, this is a French show animated in Japan. Okay, I can see the Japanese background of the design of the characters. I see the French design of the concepts and plot, like Code Lyoko, or Canal Plus, and then seeing some of the international animations. I never knew there was North Korean anime until a few conventions back, where somebody did a special panel on world animation. There's Chinese stuff, and it sounds pretty good from what I've seen. I haven't had a chance to check it out. And now it's expanding. The franchise is expanding that style.
Yeah.
Of course, Japan has the market on that, but they farm out stuff too. So.
Oh, totally. So I think it also depends on, are you recommending anime films to kids?
Good point.
To non-anime fan kids, to kids who are into anime and want a movie, like all those sorts of things. Like if you're, if you want a recommendation that is just like a safe animated kids film, I'm going with you. I would go with Laura's Star, which is a German animated film that is very much in the sort of Ghibli-esque, Miyazaki tradition of, protagonist is a young girl trying to get used to living in the big city, and then some fantastical things occur, and she's trying to deal with changes in her life. If it's like an anime fan or an anime movie for like a younger fan but still who likes anime, like I wouldn't recommend Ghost in the Shell or Akira, but I would recommend. Gosh, that's kind of hard. For adults, certainly Ghost in the Shell. Again, Ghost in the Shell, Akira,
more mature
the
themes
more mature theme stuff. Redline is fun, but it's not kind of my starting point because it's an animation extravaganza, but at the end the plot is just kind of silly.
Yeah, so I guess then the rule would be know the audience that you're going to screen this before. So know their interests, know their age, know their boundaries. Some people are more open to diverse concepts. Some people are a little bit more closed-minded. Some people like something more serious, and some people are romantic comedy. Some people are sci-fi. Some people are more...
For kids into anime, the filmography of Mamoru Hosoda. So Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars, Wolf Children, Boy and the Beast, all those, like those are very, they're not completely family friendly in the sense that there's some cultural differences.
Did somebody just mention
look at
Wolf
that.
Children? I just pulled it out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Surprise.
Like there, Summer Wars has, he's in the new house. I actually have a thing about Summer Wars, and he's walking along. So for those who aren't familiar, the without getting into spoilers, the basic premise of Summer Wars is that a teenage boy is just getting ready for summer vacation, and one of the cutest girls in class comes up to him and a friend and says, "Hey, I need somebody to come with me to my grandmother's house for the summer vacation." And they're all like, "What?" And they're all like, "We're all kind of busy." And she goes, "Oh, well, I guess you won't be able to spend the summer with me, all alone somewhere, I'd really appreciate it." And they're all like, "Okay, I'm going." So the main character ends up going with her, and they're going to basically a family reunion for the summer holiday where everybody in this family is coming. And there's a scene which very effectively gets across kind of the oddity of the situation, where he arrives. There are all these aunts and uncles and cousins, all showing up, and he's going down to his bedroom, and you hear sort of splashing, and a toddler comes, running out of the bath and running down the hall past him, stark naked. Just running down. He just goes, okay. I don't know any of these people. Like, very, very embarrassed. And it's like, so those sorts of things where, the average American parent might raise an eyebrow at that. You might want to,
I was a toddler. I loved to run naked.
There we go. So interesting thing about Summer Wars. There was a change in Japanese culture from the Meiji era to the modern era. Where it changed from what was called the Ie to the Kazoku. So basically, when the Meiji Restoration happened and Japan opened up to the West, there was this question of what the Japanese family unit how it would be impacted by this exposure to the West. Would the Japanese family disintegrate, right? And as a result of this, so a lot of writers and philosophers started writing about this. And they coalesced this idea of the Japanese family, as being this thing called the Ie, which is a family made up of the patriarch, the wife, who is very much the Yamato Nadeshiko, the quiet, submissive house manager wife, children of whom the oldest son will take over for the father. Parents will stay there at the house and going to retire and live there and be handled by the grown children. And it would kind of continue like that. And if you married and moved out, you found you were either part of somebody else's EA, or you were founding kind of a subsidiary EA to your own. So when you think of a traditional Japanese family, it's very much that structure, right? Very traditional. And this was basically an idealized version of the classic Japanese family, just kind of formalized during the Meiji era. And it's one of those weird things where people were like, this is how it should be. This is what the Japanese family is like. And in reality, it was, it wasn't quite that formal.
So sort of like the representation of Leave It to Beaver. Here's the family unit, and it's an idealized form, but reality your mileage may vary.
Right, totally. But then what happened with after the end of World War II and rapid urbanization is you would become 15, 16, you would leave the family to go to the city to get a factory job or whatever, live there, and you would send money back to your family to support the family because you're still part of that EA, right? And the problem is, as you spend more time in the city, away from your family, the less you feel connected to that EA, and you start building sort of your own family, and what evolved was a something closer to the American nuclear family, father, wife, and children, but not the whole tradition of the parents living with you. And multi-generational,
like grandpa, grandma,
the shrine in the corner to the grandparents and the great-grandparents, the great-great-grandparents, and all of that sort of, because one of the ideas of the EA is that you are part of this long lineage going back, hundreds of years potentially. But now with urbanization, you have this new world of the Kazoku, and the Kazoku is a Japanese sort of nuclear family in the modern urban sense. Summer Wars, the anime film, just to bring it all back. Is about an EA. He is going back to her family. They're all getting together because they're part of a traditional Japanese family, and it's very much the EA concept where, yes, you're all in different places, but you're all part of this line. And this is kind of your identity as this traditional Japanese family. So that's kind of what they're contrasting, is that, this is a very old school family.
Are you a fan of Monty Python?
Oh, yes, I am.
And now for something completely different. Are those Ryobi tools behind you? We have a question here.
No, they're not. Sorry. Those are Black & Decker.
Black & Decker.
Simply because, and I will say this, so I think the most important thing with power tools is to have the same manufacturer, because then all of the batteries and all of the other things are interchangeable.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, and I don't have a lot of experience with woodworking, but just having seen and used other people's hand tools, I don't think there's that much difference between Ryobi and Black & Decker and all the other ones at this level.
Yeah. It depends upon the whether you're using it to make a living on a daily basis and it's your bread and butter, how frequently you're using, what kind of duty cycles, and things like that. I've enjoyed DeWalt and Makita, but I've had Ryobi stuff in the past. Ryobi has cost a little bit less, but I've had really good success with my DeWalt stuff.
Yeah.
I did have a Ryobi where it was in the early stages of battery style, and it had a battery in the handle that was not removable, and there was something wrong with the charger where it ended up melting.
Yeah.
But I can't really fault that so much to Ryobi as much as the technology at the time, because it was relatively new that they were getting away from cords.
Yeah.
So, but Makita is a nice one also.
Yeah. My personal opinion is, it's kind of like pots and pans in the kitchen, right? Find a good brand, but there is no one ideal brand of pot. You
can mix and match, but if you
mix
find
their
something
qualities.
that you like in the quality, it's nice to have everything matching, especially with interchangeable parts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a specialty of that. But yeah, I don't think that there's that much. I don't. In other words, there are people who are like, you must only ever buy Ryobi. Ryobi is the best brand. I mean, I think for a hand
Black
drill,
& Decker,
Black &
yeah,
Decker's fine.
I used to like to get stuff that was Craftsman, because Craftsman had a lifetime guarantee, but that's before Sears sold them to whoever they sold them to, I forgot.
Yeah.
But you used to be able to go to because of their lifetime guarantee, you could go to a yard sale, pick up like a broken tool that was a Craftsman tool, bring it to Sears, and they'd fix it or replace it.
Wow.
And so that was one of the nice things. I think some of the professional mechanics use stuff like Snap-on, and there's some other folks, but yeah, each of them has their own sort of color that they like to use.
So Morph asks a very interesting question: how intellectually challenging can children's movies be, or should they even be?
I think they could be a lot more challenging than adults think. Kids absorb stuff; they can't always explain or describe it, but conceptually they can handle a lot of stuff that adults don't give them credit for. Does that mean the content should be of a nature that it's good for the kid? Yeah, I would agree with that. You don't want to subject them to things that may disrupt them emotionally at an early age, but like complicated concepts, kids, even if they don't outwardly grasp it, they inwardly form a framework of how that stuff can be absorbed. And one thing that's really nice is with animation, and I've seen this even with American cartoons, there's so many different levels that stuff can be presented on, where a kid will digest one level, an adult will digest another level. And when a kid who's watched it goes back as an adult and rewatches it, they re-examine it and they say, as a kid, I never realized that had so much meaning. And now,
a perfect example of that, I think, is My Neighbor Totoro, where it's definitely a children's movie, but as an adolescent, you can go back and see, this is a movie about moving to a new place and getting used to this new environment. And the not quite trauma of that, but just how kids process those things.
All I cared about was the cat bus.
And then as an adult, you go back and you're like, this is about what Japan was like in rural Japan was like in the 50s and 60s, and this particular time, and how Japanese people sort of interacted in the Satoyama, these rural areas. So I think there's a lot you can do, but it also depends on, not to get into this argument. It also depends on what kind of intellectual challenge you're looking for. I don't think that we should be trying to make children's films that make them understand calculus, right?
Although if they can absorb it,
sure. But I think there is a there's a level of emotional complexity you can get to. There's a level of like, for example, scientific content that you can show in a movie very effectively. They can be very interesting to kids if presented well. On the other hand, I think a lot of people overestimate how much kids can handle or are interested in a film. In other words, I find it unlikely that children can handle massively more than is in children's entertainment. I think people have tried those, and those films don't work. I think kids want things that are easy and simple and fun and easy to digest and consume, in aggregate, as a general rule.
And of course, the population is going to be sort of a bell curve. You'll have your general population who makes up the majority of the body, and then you'll have your people who can and your people who can't at different ends of the spectrum. And so, it's who always think of who your audience is in regards to that, because they may or may not be able to handle.
I think, and that's a great point. I think I don't know that I don't know how much you can engage a child's intellect in a movie. Not saying that in a negative way, but I think most children aren't interested in being intellectually challenged in their entertainment. I know when I was a kid, I wanted stuff that was fun and adventurous and interesting and bright. And I wanted something different. I wanted something that maybe dealt with the things I found interesting. But I wasn't seeking out, Wittgenstein. I wasn't seeking out things that were challenging my fundamental understanding of the universe. Kids do have kind of a bubble filter on them, where they have certain views of things, and when you challenge that, they're not really interested in being challenged on how they think the universe works.
If they have that natural curiosity, leverage it.
Yep. Yep.
Now, there was a question earlier. There's a lot of sports anime.
Yeah.
What sports anime have you not seen done that you'd like to see done?
I can't think of a sport that's not been made into an anime.
There's so many sports that have been made into anime.
I literally cannot think of one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something. Lawn darts! I want one dedicated to jarts!
All right. You've made the challenge.
Lawn darts. He's
dart anime.
He's gonna go and look for it. What's crazy is there probably is one.
Yeah. There does not appear to be a lawn dart anime.
Not yet.
Congratulations.
A unique idea!
A unique idea. Somebody get on that right now.
You heard it here first.
There's definitely surfing
American
anime.
football. Oh, surfing.
Yeah, there's definitely surfing.
Ooh, that
American
would be
football.
fun.
Oh yeah, Game Escape. You need to come in earlier for the anime trivia. iShield 21.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have that in the trivia.
Yeah, iShield 21 is a long running American football anime.
Oh, this is funny. What's this stupid keyboard? Lawn darts.
Yeah, ping pong. The animation definitely multiple ping pong anime. Yeah. Bowling. I'm sure there's a bowling anime. Bowling's popular in Japan.
Did you cover the
Bowling King? There we go.
Bowling King.
Manga.
Did you cover in the news the card game, the poetry card game?
Karuta. Yeah, that was last week.
Yeah.
Totally.
They need more about jazz.
There we go. There we go.
I mean, they've got ones about piano. They've got ones about violin. I haven't seen any that are more, I don't know, musically inclined. Of course, they have like bands like K-On! and things like that, and idol singing. But I haven't seen too many like just focusing on the cello or the piccolo.
Let's see here. There's an ice hockey manga. Not seeing a hockey anime just yet. That's surprising. Probably not curling.
Field hockey, curling.
Curling. However, he did have a bowling sequence. That's certainly true.
There should be a mountain biking one. There probably is.
I'm sure there is.
Biking
I know there's
mountain
biking.
Yeah.
At least a mountain biking movie.
Spelunking. No, there's one.
Spelunking. Yeah. Fencing. There's got to be a fencing anime.
Yeah, I think I saw.
There must be.
There was one.
Cricket
Fencing.
anime.
Cricket.
This is gonna get.
Oh, I think I saw. Well, there's a lot of British I think I've seen some episodes, but not
Baseball.
about it. I don't think I've seen one about.
Yeah, I don't see an actual
Cricket is a very unusual
cricket anime.
sport.
And that it is. Cricket makes no sense whatsoever. Definitely kendo anime.
Oh, wicked! Kendo,
Rugby?
the kendo one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that was.
There's a
what was
rugby
that
anime this season.
Is there?
Number 24 is a rugby anime airing right now.
Ooh.
Um,
2 rugby anime.
yep. There's that.
Pogs.
Pogs. Mario Kart. That's a good one
Mario
too.
Kart.
Well, I mean, Pogs anime is basically what, a Card Fight Vanguard?
It's
or
martial arts. You know, I've
Wow.
watched a lot of live action martial arts, and I was
Mm.
amazed we had seen the same documentary on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I started looking into the martial arts movies, the more I was amazed how the Chinese martial arts movies had sort of a theme that was trying to represent the Chinese in a light as not being oppressed by the Japanese.
Right.
And I was just kind of amazed by that because I hadn't really thought about it until I started looking into some of those aspects of it, which was, I don't know, it's kind of
Yeah.
eye-opening
Yeah.
in that respect.
Cross Manage, that's a lacrosse anime, apparently.
Is there a shooting one? Like
Shooting one.
Target?
Yes, there was a Rifle Girls, which I
Rifle
think
Girls.
last season was about that. Cross Manage, yep, that's lacrosse. There we
Wow.
go.
Lacrosse.
I always felt that they should make a lacrosse anime called Lacrosse Plus. You know,
Lacrosse Plus.
and then Lacrosse Frontier, Lacrosse Delta, Lacrosse, why not? Superdimensional Fortress Lacrosse, right? But yeah, that would be fun.
Iron-blooded
Yeah.
lacrosse players.
Hunting.
Professional
I mean-
arm wrestling.
I mean,
There's arm wrestling. in
Naruto is basically hunting. So many shonen anime, they're hunting people.
Hunting.
Um,
The most dangerous game.
yeah. There was a sumo anime like 2 seasons ago.
There's some
Yeah.
sumo in the different Baki the Grappler and the newer Baki.
Yep.
But they show a lot of different types of martial arts, all sorts of different schools.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat to see the different techniques, and a lot of that is based on those schools actually have some real technique based
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
which- That's one thing I like about anime is when they put in enough realism that it kind of whets my, gets me thinking, oh, I want to look into this.
There was a question earlier. What are the advantages of sports anime over regular fighting shonen anime? And I think it's that. It's the groundedness. Among other things, it's the fact that it is about something that people actually experience. So it's more relatable as opposed to, leaping off of mountains and punching people with your fists of glory and all that stuff. Which can be fun, but it's not like that.
Snakes and ladder.
Snakes and ladders, yeah.
I would
There-
like to see one about running
Yeah.
specifically, but
There are
Suzuka,
those.
what is it? Suzuka.
Suzuka's track and field.
Suzuka. Yeah, that was.
But
pretty
there was
good.
actually a running anime, I think 2 seasons ago.
Was
It was
there?
about like street running, just a straight street running.
You know what?
um,
Parkour.
Parkour.
I'm ready for
yeah.
a parkour one. I mean,
Yeah, that's
parkour.
probably there's got to be a parkour something.
Yeah.
Anime is certainly a parkour thing.
Run with the wind.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Where's my pen? I got to write that down and remember that. Run with wind. I got to get back into running. I used
Yeah.
to do a lot of that.
Well, it depends on the sport more, Paul. There's certainly over the top sports anime.
Horseshoes.
But if you look at like Run with the Wind is a good example where they're just running. They don't have special superpowers.
Dog Days is parkour.
Some of the other ones out there. I mean, obviously the tone can be kind of over the top in terms of very melodramatic, but they don't turn into And now I can kick a soccer ball 300 miles an hour, because I have the foot of God, all that kind of stuff. Prince of Stride is a parkour anime, really? That's pretty cool. Prince of Stride. Prince of Stride.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Prince of Stride.
Milton Bradley Boards with Death.
It was based on
I'd
fictional
forgotten
story.
all about that.
Okay,
That was
yeah,
funny.
there we go. High school sports teams. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, anime about anime about high schools in general. You just don't see high schools in anime much. That'd be nice to see occasionally.
Mountain climbing would be
Mountain
fun.
climbing, there's got to be one. It's not really
There's
a
some
sport.
episodes where I've seen people do that.
Yeah, it's not a sport
But it's
in the
only like
traditional
one
sense.
episode out of a longer thing.
Yeah.
Skydiving. Free diving.
Encouragement of climb. That's right.
No way,
There it
there is.
Yep.
Encouragement to climb.
Yep.
And of course, there's ones about camping.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends.
Free diving.
And you get stuff like there was that beach volleyball anime from a couple of seasons ago that was clearly an excuse to watch
Beach
you know,
volleyball.
It was teenage girls in skimpy bikinis was the entire reason to watch
What's
that
not
show.
to like?
So yeah,
The
but
encouragement
it is
of
amazing.
climb.
Yeah, and I've heard very good things about that. It's more slice of life-ish apparently, as you can tell. But it's about mountaineering. So what was it? Spelunking
Spelunking.
anime. Oops.
You know, I found a series of manga that was based around education, and they had like manga, physics, biochemistry, statistics, and it was manga style, but it was, kind of like, here's a supplementary text towards your course. And I thought, that's really cool. I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind seeing something like that if I had to review for a course.
Yeah, that's a very popular thing in Japan. Is
it?
manga? The manga guide to physics, the manga guide to
Because a
mathematics.
picture is
and
worth
so forth.
1,000 words. I see a picture, I've digested half of a course now.
Well, and there's
Supply, demand.
there was a whole manga and anime that getting back to sports, that explained Peter Drucker's management principles using a high school baseball team.
Which one was that?
Moshidora.
Moshidora. I want to see
Tokusatsu
that.
anime series, very cute. So the main character is a high school girl who has no interest in baseball, but her best friend, who is hospital ridden. Yeah, I may have mentioned this. She's bedridden but wants to manage this baseball team. So the girl actually does that, but she picks up a book on management, thinking it's about baseball management, but not. Made in Abyss. There's spelunking in it. Yeah, there's certainly spelunking aspects to it. I'll give you that.
Fan service.
Some anime seem to exist as excuses for fan service. You don't say.
Sometimes I find fan service kind of titillating but very frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, either I want to indulge or not. I don't want this halfway stuff. I want something real or something, substantial in the... You're just teasing me. You're poking at the bear. Although sometimes it can be done tastefully.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about this before. I like the old school style of fan service where when you have fan service, it is either completely incidental to the plot that's going on, or it is instrumental to the plot that's going on. It's not sort
It
of...
doesn't detract from the story.
Yeah,
That's the best.
Right, it's just
like
just
good
there,
product
goofy
placement.
thing. But you do that thing where you have a lot of those etchy series where it's like, and now we're going to focus the camera on breasts for 5 minutes. And it's like, well, I don't, know what you're doing.
Such
You're
a
right.
fun word to say.
Spelunking. Spelunking. Speaking of Monty Python, Gorn. Good word, Gorn. Good woody sort of word.
What is
Gorn.
the fish slap?
Yeah.
The fish slap is one of my favorite sketches.
Give me a real story with fan service, not fan service with no story. Exactly. Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Never enough morph. Is Dot Hack a sports
Sports anime.
anime?
No. Nope. Sorry. Nope. It is now 10:40, so I can talk about this. It's late enough at night. If I haven't mentioned this before, little kids, go to bed right now.
It's past your bedtime.
There is a Netflix anime, Netflix live action series called The Naked Director. Yep. Which is about a man working in the adult film industry in Japan in the 1980s. And if you want a good example of something where it is it is very much about this topic of fan service and sex sells and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah,
the various
it's a pretty
aspects.
Good job of
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
showing how things grow in the industry, and no pun intended. I mean, but the way things can kind of get out of hand and the different laws. I mean, it was really worth watching.
It's really if you're interested in, and it's also interesting because it is about like Japan in the 1980s.
Yeah.
So seeing that culture and all that and how things were at the time.
VHS duplication process. The official and the black market.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it was some wild times. Wild.
Anime about a reporter.
I mean, there's certainly reporters in
Speedgrapher.
anime.
He's
Speedgrapher, that's
video
photographer.
photographer, photojournalist.
Photojournalist. I mean, you have like Cutie Honey, where reporter is one of her jobs that she can transform into.
For a newspaper.
It feels like it's one of those things where if you're gonna make an anime about newspaper reporting, she's usually a newspaper reporter who then discovers that vampires exist or something. There's always some twist.
There's a lot with reporters who are characters who run through who are not the main character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not.
I'd have to think about that because I saw something recently that had a character who was a reporter, but I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, it escapes me.
Yeah, Japan in the '80s is a fascinating place because you have the
money coming in. At that point, it was boom,
but the lean times were very much still in memory. Yeah. There was still a lot of people being very putting the brakes on and trying not to go too crazy. Japan was in that very interesting space where there were some things they were ahead on and some things they were behind on, like technologically and all that stuff, where Japan was kind of trying to really seriously pull ahead, but Japan didn't feel like it a lot of the time.
Right around that time, Japanese electronics were getting a much better reputation. In the early days, Japanese electronics were the cheapest thing on the market.
Yeah.
By that point, they started developing really good electronics, tape players, amplifiers, things like that. And the name Sony actually held a lot more weight than it would have like 2 decades earlier.
Yeah. Interesting. The anime about D&D, not really, because that's a licensed thing. You don't see a lot of licensed games in anime. There's a manga about high school girls who play tabletop role playing games.
Does this ring a bell?
Mm-hmm. A
homeless girl who works and lives at a local newspaper as a delivery girl.
That does not ring a bell.
Delivery girl immediately brings to mind the ramen story. The ramen girl, Kiki's not Kiki's Delivery Service. The ramen fighter.
Ramen fighter Miki. Are you thinking of Nia Under 7? She's not technically homeless, but she lives above a bathhouse that her parents technically own. But she does deliver newspapers in the morning. That's kind of the overall thing. Kiki's Ramen Service.
Kiki's Ramen Service.
I'd watch that.
Fly it into me. Totally.
So yeah, JJ, maybe think of Nia Under 7. She's a Ronin, so in between high school and college. How do you do that? Reenactment of history. Yes. Oh gosh. There's an anime series about a boy who gets trapped in a VR world of Edo era Japan. And I cannot remember the name of it, but that was very interesting because he's on like a VR field trip basically.
Oh, wow.
With his class, they're experiencing this thing, and then all of a sudden the sort of isekai thing happens where suddenly I don't feel like I'm in VR anymore. I feel all my body, and I seem to be in this this world now.
Stuck. He's been troned.
Yes, exactly. But now he has to kind of get used to what it was like back in the day. Yes, Cranswell Sweden. Was an anime, but there were multiple Tiger Mask anime. There was one in the 70s. There was one just a couple of years ago. Tiger Mask W, I think. Recent Tiger Mask anime. Done completely in the style of the 70s, which was really fun and weird. Kanamemo? Brad is saying? Kanamemo. Certainly could be. Kanamemo. Let's just see here. I had no idea this existed. But sure. Speaking of fan service. This looks cute. It's cool. Homeless girl moved into a newspaper business. There we go.
Newspapers? What are those?
Yeah, I know.
Sad.
Sad.
I miss the newspapers.
You're right. Golgo 13. That's definitely a sports anime. That's you got that right. There's Golgo 13. Yeah, the 13 players on a baseball team. Kind of a middle schooler Kana's life drastically changes when her grandmother passes away, leaving behind an empty house. Learns that no one can provide her lodging due to her young age. Yeah. Sounds a little like Fruits Basket. Where she becomes homeless, but is taken in by a bunch of hot guys. Always nice when that happens to a high school girl.
Hey, we're not going to leave her out on the street. Yeah, that would be awful.
Speaking of, I was watching I got another YouTube rabbit hole of like barbershop quartets and other kinds of things when they do humorous songs. And there was one with I think Straight No Chaser, not a barbershop quartet, but a group of guys who sing music in harmony. And they did ruined Disney songs, talking about how weird Disney stories can be, and how strange those plots are.
101 Dalmatians. That's about a woman who hoards pets.
Yes, exactly. They did one for Aladdin, and it starts with, "I just catfished a girl." And there's something about a whole new world with you, even though we just met, and I have no idea who you are really.
Yeah, some of the things are like we just sort of slip in there, and people accept. But when you really examine them, you go, "What?"
I mean, Beauty and the Beast is Stockholm syndrome. Like, let's just admit it. I mean, why would anyone like that person? Metal Fighter Miku, another wrestling anime. I've not actually seen it, but I've seen clips. It's a fun one. Gallery Fake. I am not familiar with that. I think very, very thankfully. But yeah. So we've been going about 2 hours now. Does anyone have any final questions or final topics to cover?
Have you chosen a name for your news anchor?
Yes. What name do you want for her?
Fred.
Would be good.
What?
I'll have to go back through the names up there and get some ideas. Haven't seen a terrible movie until you've watched Machine Gun Girl. Fair enough.
I gotta say, there are some anime that get on my nerves. When they start going into a cycle of filler.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Bleach. I was following it for a while, and then it started filling, and I was like, this is not worth me continuing. And I think I usually like to do an anime series from beginning to end. I'll go through a slump on some of it, but I'll try and watch it all. I gave up on Bleach because of the filler. I just couldn't spend my time that way.
Yep. I totally hear that. And
I'm kind of curious what happened on the story arc, but I'm not going to sit through that much filler.
Yeah. You may have to make that choice and just, skip some of those episodes. What is the answer to the question of the meaning of life?
I was curious.
42.
42.
We all know that. I agree, Jay. Ariana's a good one. Do I like isekai? I like isekai. I like the transported to a new world thing. I'm not at all against that. But I like anime in general. I think a series can be good no matter its premise. It just depends on how it's executed, right?
I don't mind a catch up episode if I can.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I understand. But if you do a continual filler, it's like, okay, I need to move the plot forward.
Yeah. But you're right, JJ. I think once you get past that, like 26 episode, especially, 2-season mark.
The chances are
Yeah,
they're
there's
going to
some
put in some
season.
filler. And
Yeah.
there'll be some reminders. Oh, this is what happened earlier in the season, in case you haven't been binge watching it like everybody does.
I think the only franchise that's pretty good about longer shows with less filler is Gundam.
Gundam.
You'll get filler here and there, Battle
But
of
it's
the
more
Week.
of a, okay, here's the recap real quick of what's brought us to this point.
And there's usually at least something going on in those filler episodes to,
It'll move forward
span
during that
some
episode,
character.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. He does his hair, I just cut it. That just works for me.
Sometimes I have a beard, sometimes I have a mustache,
true.
sometimes I have long hair, sometimes I have short hair. I change it up. Nobody will
Yeah.
ever recognize me again.
Yeah. Once this starts happening, you start changing your opinion of hair. Do I sometimes prioritize positivity over honesty in my evaluation of anime? I hope not. I try to do both of those things. I think it's totally possible to be both positive and honest, because I don't really watch anime I don't like. And if I don't like something, then in my reviews, I don't really talk about what I like or don't like. I just talk about kind of what's there, what I observed.
I watch a lot of comedy, and I'll watch for a while, and eventually they'll hit on something that offends me, but I'll still watch. And I'll watch to the end, usually. But if they keep hitting that button, eventually I'll stop.
Yeah.
But you don't learn anything new if you always listen to opinions that reinforce what you have. And that's why I sometimes will give an anime a benefit of a doubt when it starts to hit a slump or it starts to go somewhere where I think, this is really going nowhere. I'll write it out. It's only this many more episodes till the middle of it. It's got to pick up. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, and no anime is like perfect in every area.
Right.
There's always some area that they could have spent more money, polished it more, and refined it. So I can't be like 100% positive on any anime, but I'm not going to be 100% negative because people were putting in effort, and despite one individual's best effort, you're still on a team, you're still under constraints, and it's hard to know what all that was.
Well, and the longer I review things, the more I realize that whatever I'm reviewing, you name it, that is somebody's favorite work of art of all time.
You're going to offend somebody, so.
Yeah. And that's why I tend to be positive, because I'm like, well, somebody loves this. This worked for somebody, right? So I prefer to see it from that person's perspective. Why might you enjoy this, as opposed to why didn't I enjoy it?
One series that you had that I thought was great was, if you like this, check out that. Or I think I might have
if you like this, watch that or something.
Watch that, yeah. And that was great because, if that, for me, that's the best way to explore is, hey, I really dug this anime. What are some similar kind of things? Because, there are certain elements that it has in common, and even if it's not exactly the same everything, that's why it's a different story.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of thing that's fun to follow a thread on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, JJ, is I don't know what bad means when it comes to anime. I honestly don't think that is a usefully universal term to use on anime. We use it colloquially, but I don't think that I am the expert on what is good or bad.
It's a vague term when you're trying to describe something,
Yeah.
because you can get more precise and say the casting director did not choose the voices in a manner that really accurately represents the characters. Is that bad? It was a bad choice, maybe. It could have been done better. It could have been done worse.
So a good example here is Japanese Ranma's male voice, I think, to me doesn't sound sounds like a woman trying to do a man's voice. At least when I listen to it, it just didn't sound natural.
Maybe he was wet.
Yeah. It just sounded very weird, and I'm sure Ranma is everyone loves those voices. That's the kind of thing I'll point out where I said I didn't buy this performance because it didn't seem to match the character. But that's just
I've found certain
What I
voices that have been cast, and they're of such an obnoxious nature, I find it hard to continue following the story.
Yep.
Now, it's one thing if they're going for that effect, but when it interrupts my enjoyment of continuing the story, then
Yeah.
they're defeating their purpose in
yeah.
doing that.
So Morph brings up a really interesting point. What people like is not always good for them, right? Some anime seem really designed to turn viewers into consumers. So that I believe that is not my job. It is not my job to decide what is best for other people, what they should be pursuing and consuming.
I know all.
Yeah.
You must do this.
I do think there's absolutely a place for videos about like important anime, about anime that is serious or has a point or things like that. But I don't think that belongs in a review per se. I think the review is what is this thing and why might you like it, and then I think there's a separate conversation about anime that are important in that sense. Useful for various definitions of that.
JoJo's Big Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen part of JoJo. I haven't seen all of JoJo, and I
Yeah.
enjoyed the parts that I saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do not enjoy JoJo. I respect it. I totally understand it, but it's just not my style of humor, not my style of show. Just turns me off. Just personally.
Whoa.
No, it's better to read manga because dialogue voice doesn't fit well with the anime. That's true.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
And the reviewers are different. A manga is a different beast. Are reviews about good, bad, or enjoyable, not enjoyable? Again, I mean, if you say good, bad, I don't know what that means. As a consumer of a review, if you say this thing is good, I'm like, okay.
When I consume reviews, I'm looking for something that will pique my interest and tell me, do I want to watch this anime or not? I don't want spoilers. I want, hey, if you like this, there's these elements that are in this anime. This is sci-fi. This deals with AI and space and robotics.
Yeah.
But it doesn't deal with occult. But it does deal with fantasy or magic in some sort, but not necessarily occult. So, when you break it down to the specifics, is it heavy in fan service? Too much heavy in fan service for most folks. If you like this kind of fan service, okay, I like a little bit of this or that. If there's some human forms are staying relatively natural. No, these are superhuman forms that exaggerate the natural. Okay, well, I know it's going to stretch me to like a breaking level in my fantasy tolerance of, okay, that's just like off the wall. That's the kind of review that's helpful.
Exactly. That's my view. So Morval asks, I do more like a product and less like art, or are they too intertwined? I'm going to be really annoying
Wow.
and say, what is art?
Yeah. This is not a pipe. This
Right.
is a picture of a pipe. But it's not really a picture of a pipe. It's a painting of a picture of a pipe on a wall. Yeah, it's that's a good question. What is art?
Because the problem I have with that, with when people try to define art, is that, and I'm not saying that everything is art, just to be clear. I think that gets silly. But I do think that you can either have a very broad or a very narrow definition of art. And both of those are understandable perspectives.
Someone who blurred the line between art and product is Andy Warhol. All his soup cans. Okay, he's showing a picture of a product.
Yeah.
And then he's selling replicas of it. So there's some blurry lines on that. And if you have a master's painting at an art gallery and you buy a print of it, is that print a product or is that art?
The artists sold their art. Most of the great art that we consider great art were made on commission. A patron paid for that. Tchaikovsky's music was paid for by a patron who said, "I want you to compose a symphony. Here's money," and so he composed, the Nutcracker Suite.
It can quickly get nebulous, but I think there's still a commercial element in a lot of production, and that subsidizes the commissioning of further endeavors. So
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to separate the two. You have to have a patron for the arts, otherwise, not as much art gets made.
Right. And that's the thing, is that, a lot of people, and I'm not saying anyone here, defines art as anything made just, purely out of creative passion, with no monetary thought to it.
There's people who do that, but
Yeah, not
and
all
large,
art
they
is
need
like
to eat too.
Yeah, a lot of art is not made that way, and you can kind of most art historically was not made that way. It was made for the church who paid for it, whatever. So I think there's it's a weird thing.
Do you think art in anime can add to the story? Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
I love art, and
Yeah.
and putting art in the background. That's one of the things I did like about some of the more unusual and experimental things, like Gokengetsu, the Count of Monte Cristo. They had a very unique style of moving patterns for
Yeah.
people's clothing, and I thought that's a very artistic endeavor. It's a different way of animating. Having a painting in the background, rather than it could be abstract, but if they've got pictures of famous paintings, I mean, all of that adds to the quality of the anime. You can have it very simple and very basic, but it's a stylistic choice. And when you throw in a whole bunch of different historical or cultural references and have real scenes that exist, real cities, real locations or buildings, and real art. It's really nice because it diversifies your experience of a real world. That being said, is art real? Yeah. I mean, even if it's a fictional art, well, what is a fictional art?
Yeah. So more probably, I don't think that, or I don't see how commercial success enters into or necessarily enters into the discussion when it comes to reviews or any sort of discussion about like an anime series or a movie, because I think what we're doing is we're talking about what's actually there, what's actually been made. We're not talking about what is popular necessarily. You can certainly talk about this is the thing that sold well. But I don't think that is fundamental to a review, or it's fundamental to recommending something, or it's fundamental to anything else. There are certainly things that sell better than others.
Where would you draw the line between a review and a critique?
I don't personally have a useful distinction between the two. There may be one.
I'm just kind of curious from the perspective of when a new movie comes out and the critics all put in their 2 cents worth. Oh, it was great. It was fantastic. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Usually I have to forget all of that before I watch the movie and form my own opinion, because I found that if I listen to their very general-natured criticisms of the movie, then my opinion is skewed when I watch the movie. Where when I don't listen, or I've forgotten all their criticisms of the movie, I can watch it with my own filters and make my own decision, and I find that more satisfying as a viewer.
So if we define the difference as basically that there is the review that is basically whether you like it or not, and there's the critique that is the sort of analysis of all the elements of it and all the layers and so forth and so on, then there's definitely a difference there, because you're diving into it's sort of the non-spoilery kind of here's the genre, here are all the elements of it, versus the what is it referencing, what are all of the layers of meaning and so forth. I think there's absolutely a lot of value to that, to diving into those layers. And I think that's where you get into those questions of kind of art, of when you can critique something, when there's enough there to critique, when there's enough material there to analyze, then you've got something that has enough material to be potentially labeled as art, because there is stuff there. Ebert famously had this view that art means something that has universal meaning. A work of art is multi-layered and can be analyzed and understood across the ages, no matter the culture, so forth and so on. and thus art. There are very few pieces of art by that standard, right? True art is the Sistine Chapel. It is Beethoven's Fifth. It is David. And most pieces of art are not that they're kitsch basically. Nothing against them. They don't have that level of complexity. So I think that's where you can get into some interesting conversations. But a lot of people are saying things now. Target audience is limited to what people can understand, so the real sophisticated stuff is automatically less popular because less people understand it. True. And again, I don't know that is a problem that can be solved. I think if people can't understand something, then I think it is the reviewer's job. No, I think it is possible to help people understand something, but it is okay. Okay. So,
let him say this again.
How do you change someone's opinion? I think most people's opinions don't change as a result of mass media. Opinions change as a result of individual conversations, or people who have no opinion and are then swayed by mass media. So, if you want to watch a John Waters movie, and you've heard that John Waters movies are really hard to watch and are really complicated and weird, if you watch a video that says you should actually watch those movies because they're multi-layered and complex and interesting, that's not going to change your mind. But if you have no exposure to his films and just watch one, then you might enjoy it and find it interesting and go into it. But if somebody can sit you down and say, hey, what kind of movies do you like?
The three different levels. So the viewing with no conceived ideas, the viewing with preconceived ideas, and then the viewing with instructional demonstration of here are these ideas.
And so I think like a review or an analysis is not going to make people is not going to move the needle dramatically.
Yeah.
Because you're speaking to the choir a lot of the time on that, and that's the thing. So I think the fact that intellectually challenging things are unpopular has been true across all time, and I don't think we can easily change that.
And by the way, yes, I love watching cheesy sci-fi movies.
Yeah,
and Comet is great for them.
Yeah, that's true.
And Svengoolie, monster movies, those are fun, classics. And sometimes the ideas are great, but the execution is sometimes the ideas are awful, but the actors are great.
Exactly.
I just watched a cheesy sci-fi movie recently, and I said, these actors are doing a great job, but whoever wrote this script they don't have logic. They're not answering the questions that these characters would naturally have. So, yeah, I love to watch cheesy movies and just,
I listened recently to an audiobook that I had to stop because of the logic. Fantasy series, young prince out going to buy a racing dog, gets interrupted by a cut purse who steals his money. So the prince runs off after him. Ends up tackling the guy. The cut purse then pulls a dagger. A crowd immediately surrounds them. The prince is well known, obviously, so everyone knows who this guy is. The prince, who's 15, 16, something like that. So there's now prince and cut purse surrounded by people. The prince proceeds to pull out a knife and duel this cut purse. Then when he wins by disarming the guy, not literally disarming, but yeah.
He was unarmed.
Exactly.
Disarmed.
They then grab the guy. A guard comes and grabs the guy, hauls him away, and then the prince's childhood friend, girl, person, comes up and says, "Oh, but if he's taken to the castle, the penalty for this is death. He's gonna die, and that would be bad." And the prince says, "You're right. We should go and explain the situation so he doesn't get killed." So,
His mercy.
You're a prince facing off against a guy who just tried to
Kill you.
regicide, and you don't say, "Hey, everyone, stop this guy.
Him.
Just
Stop him.
just rush him."
What? Nobody's gonna help the prince?
Exactly.
What? What have I taxed you too much?
100 gold to whoever does that. You're not gonna do that. Then you duel the guy who is probably pretty good with a dagger.
Yeah.
And then when he's taken off to justice, you're like, "Well, no, that's not right. That shouldn't happen to him." And I'm just, nope, not interested. Of course, I'm gonna see 3K, one of the greatest TV shows of all time. Watching a Fellini film without support is going to be hard, so directional reviews or taking the film can be helpful. Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying, is that I think the average person is not going to enjoy a Fellini film if they have heard the reputation of Fellini. I think once you understand where Fellini's coming from, you can say, okay, I need to get that context.
I'd like to see Rotor. I haven't seen it yet.
Rotor. Rotor.
And of course, Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's MSTK.
Mm-hmm.
And the reboot.
Yep. I have seen Rotor, the Riff Tracks version of it. That's a movie. Do you think reviewers if you cannot change people's minds and it's not their job to excite interest in more sophisticated stuff? Correct. I think critics can do that. I think it is possible, absolutely possible, for a critic to change people's minds, and it's possible for them to evoke interest in more sophisticated stuff. But I don't think that's their job. I don't think that is the fundamental role of a critic.
In an ideal society, that would happen. People would move towards stuff that was better for them, that was expanding their skill, ability, consciousness, awareness, and overall well-being. But we deal with human nature, which is going to be what makes me happy, and that's not always what's good for us.
Yeah. And also, there's nothing wrong with an Avengers movie now and again.
Yeah, and sometimes you need just silly fun. Everything doesn't have to be serious and enriching. I mean, some things can be just enjoyable for their enjoyment's sake.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm sure Brad's gonna chime in here about this morph ball. I'm going to be annoying again. What is value? Right? Like, I'm not convinced that value is universal. I can value a cheesy sci-fi film for very different reasons than other people do.
The market will bear what the market will bear. If a person values something, then not everybody values things the same.
Yes.
And that's why we have markets, why we have interchange. I value my $10 less than watching the movie. That's why I pay them for the ticket. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch the movie for $10.
Jay, I do not think Rubber is a bad horror movie. I think it is a brilliant horror movie.
Which one?
Rubber, a horror movie where the villain is a tire.
Wheelie and Julie.
It's yeah.
Are you serious?
It's a rubber tire.
That's funny.
And it's filmed like a horror movie. Extreme close-ups, all that stuff.
Is that on par with, like, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? Or...
Well, no, this is the hilarious thing about that movie, is that, it is essentially a horror movie of, a killer that stalks people. But you just replace
the perspective.
You just replace the actor with a rubber tire. And so you get all of the, the over-the-shoulder shot of the tire looking down on something and all that stuff.
What about when he's intimate with his girlfriend?
That never happens, I don't think.
She gets tired.
She gets tired, exactly. But I think it's brilliant because it's a send-up of all of those tropes. But yeah, I don't watch Magic Mike. Not familiar with that one.
No, intellect does not intrinsically add value to a product.
Yeah.
Look at the what was the series of Bachelor Party in Las Vegas? I mean, hey, we're not going there for a library book. We're going there for dumb fun, raunchy fun. You know? It's,
absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, and the value is, hey, they made a lot of money. Is it enriching value? Well, for them, it made them rich.
Right.
Is it enriching for me? Not really. It kind of drags me down to, okay, yeah, that's funny, but it's not the kind of thing I'm going to talk with my grandma about.
Right. And this is the thing, is that many people do value intellectually challenging, complex stuff, and that's great. Not
Like
everyone does.
Pi, A Beautiful Mind.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of things that something historical or documentary.
Also, I have not yet found somebody who really, truly, absolutely only watches intellectually complex stuff. They consume a lot of that stuff, but they also watch, Harvey Birdman.
Killer Clowns from Outer
or
Space.
Killer Clowns Outer Space or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Toxic Avenger. Oh yeah, some
Yeah.
great cheesy stuff. I love it.
Yeah. I'm not saying money rules the world.
It doesn't, but it does lubricate the wheels that turn it. Money can't buy you love, but it can buy your sweetie roses, a trip to the Bahamas, pay her mortgage. So yeah, I mean, it would be hard to live in a world where I have to trade like 3 ears of corn for something that I could then trade to get my transmission fixed.
Yeah.
It becomes a universal interchange.
Yeah.
So does that mean I'm going to value that more than, spending time with my niece or nephew? Oh, man,
If
I
money-
love them.
If money ruled the world, you would never talk to your parents again. Because they do not, provide you with monetary value, necessarily. There are, if money ruled the world, this would be the last generation, because my gosh, is dating expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where what is it the Reb Tevye says in Fiddler on the Roof about money. It's like it's no shame to be poor, but it's no great blessing either. If I forgot, there's some great quotes in there about that. It's nice when it's used appropriately. It's terrible when it's used irresponsibly.
Yeah.
And people will act irresponsibly sometimes if they think they can. So
Money is like blood.
Yeah.
You need money to survive, but also you are not put on this earth purely to pump blood through your veins.
Money inherently is not the benefit. It's what you can get with money.
Yep.
And that can be power. It could be
Totally.
Guilty pleasure. I wonder about this concept of guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
know.
like? Does that mean like something that I watch but I don't want to tell anybody about, or does that mean like I know this isn't good for me, but I'm gonna have fun and watch it anyway? What exactly does guilty pleasure mean in that?
Interspecies reviewers.
I mean, I went back and watched a bunch of TVY reboots of Mr. Peabody and Sherman with the Wayback Machine. And I'm like, this is not helping my brain at all. It's not, like, enriching me, but it's kind of fun to have on in the background, and it's not getting me any better smarts about history. But it's fun! So...
Totally.
Yeah.
Critics' job is to see what non-critics don't see. True, but that is not necessarily about intellect and intellectual superiority or intellectual, complexity, or this is more intellectual than that. I think that is one way in which you can evaluate something. Certainly.
There's paid critics and there's non-paid critics. Let's see.
Yeah, again, I don't think critics necessarily talk about good and bad. And when they do, it is generally a personal statement. And I don't think reviews that say this is good or bad are particularly helpful. They exist.
It's too broad a term because good or bad is different for a lot of people. Like, some people absolutely can't stand rom-coms, and they say they're bad. I don't mind them; they're fun. Does that mean it's bad for me? Well, I mean, so they have to have some degree of objectivity. If they're not getting paid for their criticism, they can make those critiques all they want. But if they're getting paid for it, they need to maintain a more objective perspective. Otherwise, their criticism won't be valued as much as broadly as their benefactors would
Yeah.
pay for. So, in that.
Critique is not making things better. How?
I
I don't understand that.
Which one? What's
statement.
that? Where's that?
Critique is about making things better.
some can like constructive criticism.
Okay.
Some you get two critics.
Okay.
One just wants to slam the movie. It sucked. I hated it. Blah blah blah. The other guy's like, okay, I saw your movie. I can see where in this scene you guys didn't edit it so that I could see where you were making the car flip with a special device.
Okay.
I could see the makeup obviously on this character in scene 43 where, it was obviously too much makeup because on the movie I could see it was makeup and it wasn't intended to be seen. There was a sound glitch in frame 52 to 57. So there's like constructive criticism and there's destructive criticism.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you have people who are giving you constructive criticism while you're making it so that you don't turn out something bad. So they're kind of like screening it.
Yeah.
Once something's released, it's up in the air.
Yeah.
Are you going to get constructive, destructive?
So, Morph, I will say, if the definition of critique is judging merits and faults, I will say that I believe that merits and faults are inherently subjective, or not inherently subjective, are usually subjective, because people define what is a merit and what is a fault. I think there are absolutely things that are more or less objectively faults. I have seen movies where I cannot tell what that person is saying because the music swelled. And it's gone.
Sometimes the mixing of the sound can be too loud, where it obscures the dialogue, and I can see where those are.
Or for example, there's an action sequence and the camera is constantly cutting around the action. It's very muddy, and I can't tell what's going on. That is certainly a case where it's like, this is quote unquote bad. That is better. You should not have done that. But I think the vast majority of reviews, critiques, analysis don't do that. They're not about anything that any reasonable person would agree with about a movie.
I have a question about Jean Valjean, Prisoner 0621. What is this question about here?
Which one?
Let's see.
Oh, and you got Les Mis out of my mind. Yes. So I like to show a Macross AMV that uses One Day More. Set to Macross and Robotech. Yeah, I don't believe that completely objective reviews are possible. I believe reviews are better the more objective they are, or more accurately, the more subjectivity you remove from a review, generally the more useful it is.
Or if I know what their subjectivity is coming into it. If I know a guy's heavy into sci-fi, I can say this guy's seen enough sci-fi that he can probably discern some of the subtleties better than the person who watches everything or just exclusively comedy or rom-com or dramas. So having somebody who I know their bias, I can take it with whatever grain of salt I need to. But yeah, the more objectivity, the easier it is, the more palatable it is. Because then I don't feel like this guy just had a bad breakfast fight with his girlfriend and he's just saying this because he's angry today.
Well, and the larger problem is I want you to find a critic with whom you consistently agree.
I don't agree with myself half the time. How can I?
And that's the thing is that if criticism is what people, not you guys, but if criticism is what people define as a critic is able to tell you what is good or bad, then you could measure that. And you could say, well, okay, then I'm going to look at their star rating and compare it to my star ratings or whatever, and they should match up,
he
more or less.
With me 90% of the time. I'll listen to most of.
Yeah, but I don't find that happens. I don't think somebody's view of good or bad usually matches very well with what I care about. Right, 100% objective review is just this is the content. You're right. It's not. That's not possible. Right, and Brad makes it. You're absolutely right, Brad. Curation then is just following the general standard, right? So I think the problem with the idea that critics make people smarter is that means that all critics are smarter. Does anyone believe that? Right? I don't believe the general population of critics are necessarily smarter or more perceptive or clear or whatever than the population to a significant degree.
Yeah.
Different people have different views.
I'd go with a recommendation from of a movie from a friend before I'd go with a recommendation against something from a critic.
Yeah. So another point on this. If we're arguing that money is not a factor, or money should not be a factor, well, the problem with that is if you recommend more people watch a thing, it's going to make more money. Because then more people are consuming it.
But what if all my friends are pirates?
Right.
Yeah.
So ultimately,
your
money does come back into
popularity
it.
comes back into it,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's the complexity there.
Yeah, you don't need a degree to be a critic. That's true.
I am not convinced that art schools improve art, necessarily.
A lot of folks learn the basic techniques and then they move on from there.
And art schools will teach you certain types of art. They will teach you how to make certain kinds of art. But is that necessarily improving your art? Is that making you a better artist, necessarily?
Like with musicians, you can have a musician who can technically play something, but they don't have the feel or the soul to it. And so exposure to more art helps a person think in a more artistic way, but art schools will help you with the more technical aspects of developing those skills where you develop your feel for what the art is.
And I agree. I think, depending on your definition of art, I think everyone is an artist or can be an artist. I draw stuff and people are like, wow, that's good art. I'm like, I disagree. But they're like, yeah, you're an artist. Okay. Okay, name an artist who has total control over the art they want to do.
Salvador Dali. He's melting clocks.
I don't know of a single artist who is like, every piece of art that I make is perfect. It was exactly what I wanted to make. Every artist is like, no, it's always.
Aren't there some musicians like that? It's perfect. It's perfect right out of the box.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, pretty much every artist is always dissatisfied with their work.
Yeah. As a story writer, sometimes you just have to put down a story because you can always go back and revise and revise and revise and revise.
What's that phrase? Books aren't completed.
They're not completed. They're
abandoned. Yeah, totally. Yeah. But that's the thing. Yeah, there we go. You're both God's
Thank you.
beautiful
I
works of
feel
art.
honored.
Thank you.
I do.
Yes. We're still doing. We are still doing Hobby Hopper. That's a good point. I need to do that. There'll be a new Hobby Hopper this coming up month, and the new hobby. I think I want to do like baking and cooking in the month of February. I think that'll be fun. People have been interested in the idea of doing more stuff in the kitchen. I think that'd be a fun thing for February. That'd be cool.
Cooking up an idea.
Yep. Yeah. So I again, not to drag you down here, but there are plenty of artists who do not bring their ideas to reality, but other people love their art anyway.
I've struggled with being able to take what's in my mind and bring it out to reality because it never seems to come out the way I have it in my vision. So that's...
Yeah. Comfort food. I like that.
Comfort food.
I think that's going to be it. Let's do comfort food in February.
I gotta tell you, I do like fried mozzarella cheese sticks. Those are,
mac and cheese.
That's my guilty pleasure.
There we are.
Mozzarella cheese sticks. I'll eat like 12 of them at once.
Yep. I think Doritos would be my
Oh, Doritos. If I have an open bag, it's a finished bag.
Every bag is one serving.
Yep.
No matter the size. That's how that works. Yeah. I agree they're professional artists that do great work.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I particularly like Roger Dean,
Mm-hmm.
who does a lot of the Yes album covers. He had some experience growing up in Asia, and it's really kind of influenced his work.
Yeah.
And Derek Riggs, who does the detailed work for a lot of the Iron Maiden album covers. I like those intricate, detailed paintings. With a lot, a lot of depth to them. You look from a distance, you get a general picture, but you come up close, and there's so much more detail that you never notice because the eye has a different ability to resolve detail at different distances.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cheese.
Cheese, Grummet.
Yes.
Cheese. But yeah. So I think the complexity here on the artist thing, not to drag that even further, there are professional artists who do great work. There are professional artists who do bad work. There are unprofessional artists who do great work. There are unprofessional artists who do bad work. And professionality can increase the chance of that. If by professional we mean skilled.
If they get paid for it.
Yeah, the more skill you have, then that means that you can produce art that is more likely to be enjoyed and appreciated by others. But I don't think that those are necessarily, tied. I believe you can be unskilled and still produce great art, and vice versa.
So I could be super skilled and produce crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Chocolate cake. Yeah, my mom would make this chocolate cake with fudge icing. Mm-hmm. All right, I think it is time for us to move on to the Classic Club and stream some anime, and watch some Nadia. And let me just double check to make sure that is set up here, because it is rather important that we have that good to go. Because I think I set all that stuff up. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Okay, so everyone. Oops. Oh, I should have done that. Okay, let me start that over. So everyone, I am going to move along to SciTube, where we are going to stream Nadia and the Secret of Blue Water. Sort of some middle episodes. If you've not seen Nadia, you can totally jump in. We can backfill you and explain what's going on there, and what the backstory is, and that will be the plan. So thank you all very much for being involved in all this. Thank you for the excellent conversation as always. It's always fun to dig into these topics and to think more about what these things mean. So yeah. More probably, if you're curious, I've got Discord link. All my videos on YouTube have a link to the Discord, and you can hop in there, and we will dig in further into all that stuff. Yeah, 2.5 hour stream. Cool. So we will move on to Nadia. So pop in there, and we'll watch some more Nadia. Thank you all very much. See you next time. Have a great time. Until next time, watch more anime.